Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at circalasvegas.com.
Well, happy Thursday, Boise State fans. Welcome on in another edition of Bronco Nation News Live, proudly presented by our friends at RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. They're actually hiring, so if you're looking for a new opportunity, a new career change, just head over to RowPaint.com/careers, and you'd be surprised what kind of career, what kind of pay you can make being a painter with RowPaint.com. My guest on Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, depends on the week, Mike Prater, KTIK 95.3. The Ticket. You can read his columns over in the Idaho Press. Mike doing a great job, and along with John Mallory, host Prater in the Ball Game, 3 to 6 weekdays, 95.3, 1350 AM, KTIK app, KTIK.com. And as part of our partnership, Mike, with Bronco Nation News and The Ticket, we get a chance to catch up with you once a week. And today it's a Thursday, and today we're talking about a 13-game winning streak for the Boise State men's basketball team. How you doing, Mike?
Unbelievable. Doing well, BJ. Thanks for having me. I wouldn't mind having one of those roll painting jobs, by the way. Can you hook me up with an application and a recommendation?
I probably can. I hear you guys got some exciting news coming with them in next week, too. So we always love the RowPaint.com folks. And, he was telling me some of the money you can make painting, and I might have to make a career switch myself.
Let's do it.
I know we're 2 days removed from the game. I'll be heading to the airport early tomorrow to head to Fresno, see if they can get to a 14th straight consecutive win. But they're kind of the talk of the town right now, Mike. Usually we're looking at recruiting rankings, getting ready for signing day next week. Usually we're doing off-season position previews for spring ball. And, we're still doing some of that. But certainly right now, second longest winning streak in the nation after Davidson goes down last night. So it's an exciting time, and their computer rankings continue to rise. And it's fun to be in this business when you got a team that wins.
It's fun to have an atmosphere like we had the other night, and that's what the difference is here. I felt like for the first time, you know me, I'm a football guy and very skeptical about this program. But for me, the basketball season really, really started the other night with that crowd, that intensity, that game. That's what Boise State basketball can become. And I know that's what you want to see happen with Boise State basketball. I know that's what Leon Rice wants to see happen with Boise State basketball. But there was an intensity in that building. There was a buzz in that building. First time we've seen that in a couple of years, going back to pre-COVID days, obviously. And it was really, really, really inspiring to see. So I think people are starting to get on board with this basketball team. There's 2 different camps here. And we've talked about this in the past. The enjoy the journey camp. And I'm a little bit of that right now. And then the skeptical camp, and let's see what they can do down the road. But right now, I think the important thing with this basketball team is just to enjoy the journey, BJ, because they're fun to watch. And you're right. The community is starting to engage with this basketball team.
And Mike, I know we have different thoughts a little bit when it comes to the basketball team, but am I crazy to be thinking that they should be not getting more fans? I mean, they should be getting more fans. I mean, this is a town that's got, what, 700,000 plus people in this town. You're talking a 12,000 seat arena for a team that's looking like they're pushing towards the NCAA tournament. Tell me why I'm crazy, Prater. Why? The students did a little better. I got on the students on social media the other day, and maybe it was unfair. I was watching some Big East game, which with a full house, and then I switched, and the Kansas game was on to a full house, and so I just kind of went on this rant on social media, and it was probably unfair based on the 2 games on ESPN I was watching. But you see some of these places, and I was in Logan last week. I was in San Diego. I've been to all Nevada, and you see these crowds that they have for their student section, and it matters, and it's a big deal. And for whatever reason, Boise State has just not been able to engage the students, and it's nothing personal against the students. I mean, I had a student that made a sign, ripping me the other day, and I went over and talked to them. And it's not, they're the ones that show up. That's great. It's good for them. I just don't know if it's the university or what, but I don't want to turn this into something where we, rip on the fans for 30 minutes, but the students in particular, I don't see why it's not like the destination. It's the thing to do. There's a game tonight. It's at 7. Like, we're going. Like, I just don't understand why it's not as much of a known thing. And I don't know if they need to train the freshmen better when they enroll on campus or what you have to do. But like, it needs to be like the thing to do. There's a basketball game tonight, and the cool thing is for everybody to go.
Well, yeah, I see where you're coming from, and I think I can answer that. I think it's 20, 30 years of abuse in terms of just the overall general fan base of being teased and being let down. We know that this is a football town because it's a big event in this town, and we even have those conversations about football. So, basketball, it's not just a basketball conversation. Why can't it be more about basketball? I think it's starting to build. I think people are really skeptical. I think people worry about the history and the tradition around here. Look at the record book. 14 of the 15 top rated or the top attended games in Boise State basketball history didn't happen this century. They were all pre-1999. It's crazy, BJ. I keep trying to call you ball game.
That's twice.
I know. We need to come up with a fine jar because this is not good for me. But it's the history, it's the tradition, and the student thing has always been really, really tough. We know Boise State's a commuter campus. The average student is 28-year-old working mother who's just trying to get a job and better herself. I know that that's changing. I know the traditional students are there. By accident, I got beat up on Idaho Sports Talk a little bit, mostly by Ball Game and a few other people. But I accidentally found myself sitting in the student section at the game the other night. I ended up sitting, it was packed. They didn't have the balcony open. There wasn't a lot of seats. And I sat in the middle of the overflow student section up above where the regular student section is. BJ, you would be inspired by what I saw. There wasn't an empty seat. They were totally engaged. They cheered. They were organized. They watched the basketball game. They weren't always on their phones. And they didn't leave until the second the game was over. And there wasn't an empty seat up in that overflow area. Down in that main student section, they block off every row. I'm not sure why. And then they kick the students upstairs into an overflow section where they cram them in like sardines. It doesn't make any sense. I felt comfortable sitting in the student section, and they were engaged. They were loud. They were proud. And I thought it was pretty cool. I know you want more. I think it will continue to happen if this basketball team continues to win. But I get that that's a storyline. And sometimes after 20, 30 years of the same storyline, it's a little bit frustrating to have to go through that. I know it's frustrating for you, but hey, Leon Rice, just keep doing what you're doing, keep winning, and I think it'll take care of itself.
Yeah, and it's only frustrating for me because I think of what it could be, and I've been to some of the premier venues in the country. I don't really care. I'm not a Boise State fan. It doesn't matter to me. I don't make more money if they have more fans in the stands. I just I go to those games and I want to have a fun time, and that atmosphere is way more fun. You go to the record books, Mike. I'll go to the record books. 143 and 33. 81.7%. That is the winning percentage under Leon Rice at Extra Mile Arena. 81.7% of the time, you're going to go there and see a win. 176 home games for Leon Rice. They've won 143 of the 176 home games. And I'll take it one step further. Of those 33 losses, only 11 of the 33 have come by 10 or more points. So you come to a basketball game at Extra Mile Arena, only 6.2% of the time are they going to lose by double digits and it not going to be a competitive game. So you're pretty much assured when you come to a game at Extra Mile Arena, and we're talking top 5 teams coming in there, and they may lose, but you usually get entertained, and it's usually a good game. So Nathaniel chiming in. Here's another classic BJ fan rant loading. everyone has their reasons, the money and all that, and it's easy for people to say, oh, you're sitting courtside for free, must be nice. I get it, but I couldn't help but think during that game, Mike, when it was loud and it was fun and it was great, I look up and the third deck's still empty. I mean, you put fans in that third deck for a game like that, and you got to hope with San Diego State, Colorado State, Utah State still on the home schedule. I mean, it has been a weird year where they've had some weeknight games against some lesser teams and a lot of road games, but the schedule is building here to where in February, if this team's still rolling, they're going to have 3 or 4 just monster home games coming up later in the season. And for one game this year, Mike, can we get the third deck open? Will the third deck open? Will the third deck open at all this year? And my other question is, what I think they should do is, which they do at Fresno, and they'll probably do it at Fresno tomorrow night, is they curtain off the top level. If nobody's up there, you put out some black curtains, then you don't even notice it, and it looks like it's a packed 2 lower levels. I think curtaining off the upper level, if you're not going to open it, would make a big difference too.
If they can do it, and they can do it at a certain amount of price, I would imagine that's going to be a little bit of a pricey deal. But yeah, that makes sense. We've all seen buildings do that. BJ, I think February is going to let's call February balcony month, because I think you're going to see the balcony open for most home games in February, especially those kinds of 3 games. So they had almost every seat sold or not sold, filled, sitting in those lower 2 levels the other night. And I know there was scattered seats here and there, but it was certainly the most attended game of the season, and I think it's going to continue to get better. So hopefully this issue goes away and 10 to 12,000 people show up. And the important thing is, though, Leon has to win those games. That's part of the beating and the abuse that these fans have taken a lot of these big games. And it dates back even pre-Leon. In Greg Graham era, big games, like 10,000 people plus, and they would lose them. It's just the bugaboo of this program. And Leon Rice is trying to get over that, and he's putting together a team that can. And I think for the next month, we should probably give him a little bit of credit.
Quick thank you, Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. You can head there if you'd like, do the at-home shopping. They've got the Skip app. You can get the home delivery, all kinds of great stuff. Locations all across Idaho, 13 Idaho locations, 29 locations in Utah, Colorado, the surrounding states. Ridley's Family Markets. Think local, support a local homegrown company. Ridley's Family Markets, a bit of that CUNA location, plenty, so please support them. And also, Blue and Orange Store there at the Boise Town Square Mall. Appreciate their support. All the new Nike gear is in. They've got some great post-Christmas specials here with some of the jerseys, some of the sweatshirts. So if you're getting ready to go to one of those upcoming home games, the Blue and Orange Store there at the Boise Town Square Mall, and everything, including their flash sales, all the great deals are available. The Blue and Orange Store.com. Well, let's talk about the team itself after we got our unexpected 10-minute fan rant out of the way, Mike. Everyone keeps saying, when's the shoe going to fall? When is this team going to have the collapse that everyone expects to come at some point later in the season? And I look at the makeup of this team, Mike, and I don't think this is the same type of team. I don't think this is going to – they're going to lose a couple games. I mean, they're not going to win every game they play the rest of the season. But I don't think this team is going to have a 2-6 stretch or a 2-4 stretch. They just – to me – you're not relying on Derek Alston Jr. to take 20 shots a game. You've got so many different guys. I mean, the other night they got 5 points from Marcus Shaver and 5 points from Emmanuel Acott, and they won a game against a top 70 team. I mean, it's a different guy every night, and the balance and the depth and how hard they play and the rebounding and the defense, to me, it's all the old coach cliche, defense and rebounding travels. But that really has proven true with this team. On nights where they don't score a lot of points, they can still battle it out on the boards and battle it out on defense. And I think this team, when you look at the makings of a team that's not going to go into a prolonged slump, they look like a team now that has that.
This team, I can almost promise you that this team, as you know, will not go into a slump. This is not a slump kind of team based on everything that you just said. I fully agree with that. My only concern is the one loss that's going to just sting like crazy, whether it's, to clinch a regular season title, first round, second round, third round, semifinals, championship, whatever round of the Mountain West tournament. It's the one game that's going to reach up and bite you that kind of scares me. I think this team is built to sustain not having a slump, and they're not going to have a slump. Yeah, they'll lose a couple of games, but I would agree with you on that, BJ. So I don't think anybody's worried about this team going into a slump. It's just about that one game that's going to reach out and kick you in the butt, and that's going to hurt.
Well, they've only got 3 of those potential games you're talking about left. I mean, the one thing is about how hard the Mountain West is, there's not a lot of opportunities for quote-unquote bad losses. They've got San Jose State at home. They've got Air Force on the road. and they've got UNLV at home. And those are the 3 games, I guess, at UNLV as well. But most of their games are going to be against good quality teams. So it's not like the previous where, half your games were against 200 worst teams and you just can't afford to lose. So I do think the schedule helps them. And it brings up an interesting debate about the NCAA tournament, Mike, because after the game, Abu Kijab was doing his little post-game interview over there with Nick Duncan, who I went back and watched the broadcast. Thought he did a phenomenal job for a guy that has no training and was only doing his second, color analyst game ever. I thought Nick Duncan brought some pretty good insight. And he does his interview, and fans are yelling for pictures with him. And Joe Nichols trying to get him to leave to go back to the locker room. He's stopping and taking pictures and signing autographs. And some fan yells, "Abu, you going to take us to the tournament?" And right away, like the butt, you just thought, okay, that's where we're at now. Fans are talking tournament, and they're, you're going to take us there. And Leon Rice, after the game, was asked about it. And before I play the clip, we should note that pretty much every bracketology right now, the only one is Jerry Palm, and he hasn't updated it since the last game. But Joe Lenardi has bought in. All these got Bracket Matrix, all these other ones. Pretty much every guy that does a bracket, Sports Illustrated, whatever, now has Boise State somewhere in the field. Now, some of that is because they're the automatic qualifier. They're in first place in the Mountain West. But even Joe Lenardi has said if they weren't the automatic qualifier, he would still have them, I think, in the last 4 without having to play in the play-in. So the last 4 buys right now. Point being, most national people now believe at this point right now, if the tournament were today, they are an NCAA tournament team. But obviously a long way to go from here. But now that buzz is starting to build, and this is usually, Mike, right about the time when everybody buys in and thinks they're going to the tournament, when it spins off the other direction. But after the game, Leon Rice was asked about Boise State's, possibility of the NCAA tournament, and is it time to start talking about that?
Well, we've got Fresno State next game, so you start doing that, that's a mistake. You start looking back or looking forward. No, we've got a heck of a Fresno game coming on Friday. I mean, they're playing great. They're tough. They're a great defensive team. They have some terrific players. They can shoot. I mean, they're playing really good. So that's all we care about. That there will be no talk about with my players on that. There will be no talk in our coach. We just don't do that. That's not appropriate.
Is that something you learned at Spokane? Like
Yeah,
mindset,
absolutely.
You
You
just
just
don't talk about it.
well, it's not a matter of talking about it, but that puts you in a place that doesn't help you. Because your mind is out in the future instead of what the job is. The job tomorrow is we need to recover, and we need to get our bodies right and get Shaver's ankle right and get all these things that we have to scouting report all done. And so if you're off thinking about that, you're not doing your job. And yeah, absolutely, no question. That's always what we did. We never knew. Like everyone wants to talk about this streak, and we talked about this before. Like we don't give a. I almost said something. We don't give. We care about one thing. I mean, before we played Air Force, everyone wanted to just talk about the streak, and then Utah State after that. Utah State, San Diego State. No, we've got Air Force. That's why we're able to do that. We're staying in this present. We're not. We don't care about that. We care about one thing, and being able to play our best against a really good team that's really well coached, and they're playing at home. So we got our hands full, and for us to have let our minds be somewhere else is we just don't do that. That's what we have to fight, and that's what good teams are able to do, and that's what mature teams are able to do. So so I will scold you if you answer that question.
Muted myself during that clip, Mike. What's your reaction, Mike, to Leon Rice's comments there?
He's 100% right on. And that's the disconnect of what we've been talking about here. His job is to focus on this second, this minute, this day, this next task at hand. And everybody else's job, well, not job, that's not fair. Everybody else's expectation is, can you get us to the NCAA tournament? That's the disconnect with this basketball team and this community. So he's 100% right. He needs to focus on now. And the rest of us are focused on the end of the carrot, which is important for the fan base, and it's important for him to get there. But he has to deal with that. So I think he's right, but that doesn't change how the rest of us feel. The rest of us, one time, NCAA tournament, period. For me, that's it. I don't even care if they win a game. Just get to the NCAA tournament with this team. And this team looks like it can win an NCAA tournament. This is a good basketball team. It can go, not the tournament, but a game in the tournament. So I get it. And it's probably frustrating for Leon to have to deal with all that, but just keep doing what you're doing.
And is that enough? Is that really enough, you think, this year, just getting to the tournament? You really think that's enough for fans this year? Or are we at the point now where they need to win a game?
Winning a game would certainly help. Boise State, as you know, has never won a game in the NCAA tournament. What are they, 0-7?
0-7, I believe, yep.
0-7, never won a game. So, yeah, they need to. But I think for the purpose of building this program and taking steps and progress, and, you know, I hit Leon 3 or 4 years ago with that slow growth, and we're still in a slow growth phase for Boise State basketball. And that has to be the next step in terms of getting to the NCAA tournament. Can they win? I guess it depends on the draw. Do they end up in a it just depends on the draw. But, yeah, I expect this team just to get to the NCAA tournament. I think anything after that is gravy. But it is capable of winning a game. And maybe if they go on another big run in February, maybe we raise our expectations. But for the time being, just get there.
Hey, I'm not going to ask you your thoughts on Matt Bauscher getting ejected, because I think I know your thoughts, and as he's one of my advertisers, we're just going to leave it at that. But we do got to give a shout out here. Where's that here? We want to give a shout out to Matt Bauscher. We got email from his team offering to buy tickets to the San Jose State game. He's buying tickets. This is a great way to get more people to the game. Bravo, sir. So shout out Matt Bauscher trying to win back over the fans after his ejection the other night. But that's a nice thing to do. That San Jose State game is the 5th. They have 2 road games. Next Saturday, the 5th, will be the San Jose State home game. I do wonder about that game, Matt. Mike, it's San Jose State, typically a nobody, but it's 4 o'clock on a Saturday. The time's decent, and if they're still winning, maybe that's a game fans show up. We'll have to see. Nathaniel saying seize the moment, the minute, hour, days, week, and then everything else will take care of themselves. Tony saying depth will be an issue. Fresno State tomorrow. I want to talk a little football here in a second, Mike, to wrap this up. But Fresno State tomorrow, asking about the keys to the game. Folks, if you want to see a potential first-round NBA draft pick, Orlando Robinson, the center for Fresno State, is on a lot of mock drafts as a first-round NBA draft pick. 6'10 center, can shoot the 3 ball, does a lot of things for them, and he is a high-usage guy. So he has the ball in his hands a lot. He takes a lot of shots, and so there is really one key when it comes to Fresno State, stopping Orlando Robinson. And it kind of brings me back last year to the Nemish-Keita games, Mike, where they kind of let Keita have his 30 points and just didn't let anybody else do anything. And we'll see if that means, that was kind of the case the first time they played him, because he got a lot of points and rebounds, but nobody else really beat him too much, and they won the game. And so if you start doubling him like they were in that Wyoming game, you start doubling EK, and all of a sudden they're wide open for threes. So be curious to see tomorrow. Remember that first matchup, guys, with Fresno State was a tie game with like 4 minutes left in Boise on December 28th. And then Marcus Shaver Jr., what a shocker, hit a big shot, and Boise State wins the game. I do want to talk switch topics and talk football, Mike, but first, a quick thank you to Boise Dentistry Co., Dr. Chris Minert. They got locations in Boise, Caldwell, and Mountain Home. That's my 2 kids there. Our family has made the switch. He's a Treasure Valley native, grew up in Eagle, went to Eagle High School, went to Boise State, and now he's helping patients feel confident, happy, and positive about their smiles. So, again, my family has made the switch to the Dr. Minert. Hope you will as well. And if you're looking for a new switch and, a new job, new opportunity, Mike Prater, you mentioned the painting world. How about the trucking industry as well? 1,000 people a day are deciding to move into the trucking industry, and Transportation Compliance Service helping most of them, whether it's every step of the way, the LLC, the tax ID, the DOT number, the overweight permits. There's 20 steps to get out there and get pulling that first load, and TCS can help you do it. They sign up 50 to 70 new accounts a day. They're in Meridian based, but they're a national company. And again, if you're thinking about getting into the trucking industry, check out Transportation Compliance Service, transcompservice.com, or give them a call. The number's on the screen there, 866-813-7620. Okay, we're going to talk football for a few minutes here, Mike. The comments are strolling in. We don't have time to get to all of them. We appreciate everybody for commenting. We are live on both the 95.3 FM, The Ticket, Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as the Bronco Nation News social media accounts. Mike, kind of buried in a tweet from Jeremiah Dickey responding to a fan about the scheduling. He basically revealed that they're going to play this year against BYU, And then once BYU goes to the Big 12 starting in 2023, BYU has basically informed Boise State they will not be able to continue the series. He didn't say it in those words, but it's pretty obvious that if they're not having the series, it's because BYU is going to the Big 12 and can't do it. But one more scheduled meeting against BYU this year, and then it is off the schedule moving forward. That new 10-year deal was supposed to start in 2025. Your thoughts on the BYU rivalry no longer happening a yearly basis for Boise State?
Depression's a pretty strong word, BJ, but that one hurts for me. I think that hurts for a lot of people in this community. That's a great game. It's a beautiful game, and I understand people who don't want to play that game, and shame on you people. I know the reason why you don't want to play that game, but as for football reasons, this is a fantastic football game. It's the best game that Boise State has. It's the closest rivalry that Boise State has. The biggest crowds, the community buzz, Monday through Friday, water cooler talk, all the above. This one hurts, but as coaches like to say, every loss creates an opportunity for something new. And all of a sudden, Boise State has 11 new openings on its football schedule for Jeremiah Dickey to go off and create, magic with this football schedule. He's come out and said he wants this balanced schedule, working with Andy Avalos of kind of a small, medium, and large with a BYU. What he's going to do with the BYU angle, we'll see what happens. But, I'd like to see him come up with a nice mixture of everything from the SEC to the Pac-12 to, yes, the Idaho Vandals. Let's put the Idaho Vandals on there once or twice every 10 years just to kind of plug in and make some cash, create some community buzz. But the bigger thing is here, they're going to go off and try to get some Pac-12 schools, maybe some Big 12 schools. I think a lot of our listeners yesterday were talking about Big 12 schools, and audition to get into that conference and go off and beat some of the teams in that league. So whatever Jeremiah Dickey comes up with, I think it'll be fine. It's an opportunity to go off and get some mixture of some good teams, but the BYU thing hurts, BJ. That hurts bad.
You were going. I saw your list on the show that you guys were talking about, and you had it on your social media accounts. You were dreaming big. You had USC on your list. You had some big time teams.
I think a one-off in the Coliseum would be fantastic. I grew up a USC fan, so that's a little bit of a personal wish list. Cal and Stanford. Boise State's never played Cal or Stanford. I don't understand it. Why or how that's happened. They should be able to take care of business there and get those guys on the schedule, especially with Justin Wilcox at Cal. But, yeah, I'd like to see a little USC. And I even threw out, let's go see if we can get Boise State to play an SEC game. Oh, yeah, there's that one coach at Auburn that would be kind of fun. I don't ever see that happening. Can you imagine if Andy Avalos and Brian Harsin would ever – that's like getting Few and Rice together. It ain't happening, BJ.
Do you still think the Big 12 dream is alive for Boise State down the road? I mean, is BYU still an ally of Boise State's in terms of fighting for them down the road? You still think that's at all in the picture here? And they're pushing the donor base. They're pushing the Lyle Smith Society now up to 117 donors, each committing $25,000. You've got the push for 10,000 BAA. They're not just doing that for the heck of it. There's a reason behind it. And do you think that's still alive? And I was telling somebody else, I think they'd be. I know single season success doesn't matter, but I mean Cincinnati had 2 undefeated seasons at the perfect time. You got to think Boise State could use a 10-win season this fall for sure.
The timing is important. And to answer your question, no, it's not dead, but the timing is very, very important. And if Boise State goes off and has another 4 or 5 loss season, they just become just a little bit less attractive. If they go off and have a 10-win season, people are being forced to look at Boise State and say, we probably need to take a harder look at them and get a little bit more serious about Boise State. Boise State needs to force that hand. But, I think the dream is still alive. I think there's definitely a possibility. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's definitely a long shot, but yeah, let's assume that there's still a chance it's going to happen. Andy Avalos, you got to go take care of some business.
Chris saying reignite the TCU rivalry. That's another team that Chris brought up. There's a lot of teams like that. Utah maybe would be one that makes some sense. There's a lot of local teams as well. And so, we'll see. And, we'll see because 2023 now, they got an opening all of a sudden in a pretty short amount of time. And most schools don't have openings that short into the future. So we'll have to see. And, UCF, I think, is 2023 also. And if they're going to the Big 12 at some point, what's going to happen with that game all of a sudden? So, they were at least in a conference already, so they probably hang on to their non-conference games, but we'll have to see. So it's going to be interesting to see. And now all of a sudden, a lot of work on Jeremiah Dickey's plate. And we should say this was not – I know some of the people like to criticize Jeremiah Jeremiah Dickey. This was obviously not his doing. This was BYU saying, hey, we have no room on our schedule. We got to take care of Utah and Utah State and whatever. And so this, I'm sure Jeremiah Dickey's not happy about this, but didn't really have a choice. Give us the Vandals is what Selvy's saying. A lot of people probably do want that. Hey, appreciate it, Mike. Appreciate your time today. 3 to 6 today. Folks will be listening to the KTIK app, KTIK.com. 95.3 FM, 1350 AM. What do you got today with Johnny Ballgame on the show?
We're going to talk a little bit more BSU hoops, little Boise State basketball hoops. We're going to talk a little NFL playoffs. And tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Idaho Sports Talk, BJ Rains, Bronco Nation News, a report. So looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow at 4 o'clock, BJ.
Yep, I'll be in Fresno, so looking forward to it. Mike, appreciate your time. It was fun today. We'll do it again next week, next Thursday, maybe next Friday next week after the Thursday night Wyoming game. We'll juggle the schedules here, but appreciate your time, and we'll be listening to you, Johnny, and JP, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, and you can check out KTIK.com, BroncoNationNews.com as well. Have a good rest of your Thursday, folks.
Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at CircaLasVegas.com.
At ICCU, to make a difference, it takes just one connection. A friendly face, an open ear, a helping hand. And then something amazing happens. We find out that we're better together. This is what Idaho Central does in our communities every day. We help our members with the small things and big dreams. This is what believing in you is all about. Idaho Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance.